So my brother-in-law was like, hey, y'all's cousin has a cow that needs to be put down. Do you want to butcher it up? And I was like, I mean, I've butchered dozens of deer, so sure, we'll give it a shot. Just a heads up, a deer and a cow are two different animals. So I asked my Discord to name this cut of steak, and they just came up with the brick steak because, well, it looks like a brick made of meat. These pieces are actually off of the back strap, which is typically where your New York strips and your ribeyes would come from, but they were kind of oddly shaped. So typically you would cut these into like 1.5 inch thick steaks, and you can see here the shape is correct here, and there's where your steak should be. But since they're only like 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick anyway, I kind of blazed my own trail and just made some weird shaped steaks.
And so was born the brick steak.
Nothing fancy going on here, just some salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Make sure you get all the sides. These are large pieces of meat, so make sure you get plenty of seasoning on there. And then I'm just going to put these on a wire cooling rack on this pan here and set them in the fridge to kind of dry brine for 24 hours before we start cooking these things. We're going to reverse sear these, and so I'm just going to pop them in a 225-degree Fahrenheit oven and just slowly let them come up to temperature. After the first 15 minutes or so, every 5 minutes or so, I'm just checking the temperature. As you can tell, there is zero fat in these, so I'm shooting for rare or to medium rare. Anything more than that, you're going to wind up drying a very lean cut out in a hurry. Ideally, you want to pull these out of the oven the last time at roughly 15 degrees shy of your target temperature. Mine would be 125 here, but my thermometer only goes to 120, so I kind of had to use the old eyeball test, and I pulled it at what I think is somewhere around 105. I was out of bacon grease, so I was like, I'll just sear these in mayonnaise, and if you haven't done that before, it produces a fantastic crust, as you'll see here, but pretty straightforward. Just brush mayonnaise all over everything and then get them ready for the skillet. Now over to a blazing hot cast iron skillet, admittedly probably a touch too hot, but for about a minute aside, we're going to let these sear off, and that's going to be super easy because the oil and stuff from the mayonnaise is just going to make a perfect crust for us. We're essentially shallow frying this almost. I mean, the crust is unbelievable with this mayonnaise. And of course, this video is almost exclusively for entertainment value because I don't know of a butcher or cow combination that could reproduce this cut exactly like this anyway. But at the end of the day, I mean, they're chunks of meat that came off of an animal that I cut up and I cooked. Now, kind of to describe this to you, the way I decided to slice it because the grain was kind of weird was just almost completely against the grain, like you should. But again, the layout was just odd. Um, However, it was pretty good. I mean, it was not as good as a ribeye or a strip. It was definitely at least as good as a really good sirloin. I do have a lot more of this meat, so I hope you subscribe, stick around, and watch the upcoming videos on that. And thanks for watching this one.